And finally, we have the authorization profile. So if your API call needs some authorization profile, like your client ID, client secret, or maybe you have an app ID and you need to create an authorization profile for that, you can click on authorization profile. There are different authorization profiles that are supported by our platform. So you can select the type of authorization that you want to create over here. Okay, so like maybe for an API key. Okay, so you can put a name of that authorization and what are the fields which are required. So create your fields, map it with the authorization field. So you create a field called API key, but the field, when you are making the API call, that particular value that you have stored in this particular field needs to be mapped to app ID. So when you make an API call, app ID equal to some value. So you can provide the authorization field over here. That is app ID. So what is the key value you need to specify here? The URL which you are going to use for checking this particular authorization. Okay, so that you provide here, and you can save the authorization. So that authorization that you have created, now what happens is whenever you're making an API call, instead of you can use this authorization profile in order to authorize that API call. Okay, so once you have defined your authorization here, what you can do is you can come to the bot tasks, and wherever you are making an API call, you can use that authorization profile. So if you come to any task where you are using an API call, you will see there is one tab for your authorization profile. So come down over here to the configuration of that API, and you get the authorization tab. So select the authorization profile that has been created. Okay, this API I am using does not have any authorization required, but quickly let me show you an example where authorization profile has been used. Okay, so let me open a bot where I have created an authorization profile, and let me show you how we can use that authorization profile. So we go to config settings, and we come to authorization profiles. So you can see an OAuth 2 kind of an authorization I have created here. You can click on edit to see the configuration. Okay, so you can select the authorization type over here. Identity provider name that comes by default over here. Okay, the client ID and the secret which is required for this particular authorization that is provided. Authorization URL that will be provided by the service from which you are calling in order to give this particular authorization. Okay, so when you are creating an authorization profile, you need a lot of data from the API provider. Okay, so whatever API you are calling, if that API requires some authorization, then the service provider will give you the details of that authorization. Okay, so the authorization URL has to be provided by them who is giving you the API. Okay, similarly, if there is some token which is required, authorization token, so that has to be provided by the service provider. So these details are fetched from there. You create an authorization profile in this way, and once you have created an authorization profile, what you can do is if you come to each of the bot tasks where we are making an API call, we use the authorization profile along with the API call. So if you look into the configuration of any task over here, wherever I have made an API call, you will see I have used that authorization profile which has been created. Okay, so you can see this is the authorization profile that has been selected over here. So create your own authorization profile. If you want to see how to configure in the further, you can refer to our documentation, which will give you a guide on how to configure each of these authorization profiles. Very simple way to provide, but you need the URL which you will be using for authorizing the API call. Okay, so even if it is with password, user ID password, in that case also you need the URL where you will be sending that user ID and password for the purpose of authorization. Okay, so once you have that particular URL, you can configure the authorization profile and use that authorization profile whenever you are making an API call. So these are the different things that you can do from the config settings of the bot. Any questions on this?